I haven't really done any videos on Warhammer Underworlds because I don't play the game, but I do think many of their warbands are very creative, and I thought today we'd take a look at one of the most creative, the Wurmspat. What up, players? It's Warboss Tay up in this mug. I do videos on YouTube about miniatures, painting, and the wargaming hobby. If that's something you're interested in, I hope you subscribe. So the Wurmspat box, or the warband, comes with a number of cards for the games, but most importantly for me anyways are the 3 models. And I always take a look at the models included in a warbands box and I question, what is the value? You know, this box is $33 US, and does that warrant paying approximately $11 per figure? Are the models and the sculpts interesting enough that I couldn't kit bash them together from a different set or from a number of different sets in Fantasy, Age of Sigmar, or Warhammer 40k? And I think in this box you get that value. Most of that value is going to come from Fecula Flyborn, whatever her name is. She's the sorcerer here. We're going to take a look at her now. She's a big, bulky lady, and she has a quote-unquote cat down at the bottom of her base there in the front. And I thought it was interesting that they're giving her this cat familiar, because usually Nurgle aligned miniatures have what are known as Nurglings, which are little demons. And they look like little balls of snot, like from that Mucinex commercial. But these models don't have any Nurglings. In fact, all she has is this little cat model. I think it's an interesting looking figure. She's big, bulky, and usually I don't really like the look of having just a big, blocky, massive model that doesn't have much form or shape to it. But because this is Nurgle, and because she has all of these interesting looking items hanging from her waist, I don't mind that she almost looks like this mound of flesh that's being covered by this ratty cloth. And you can't see her face, which I think is interesting. That mask and that skull looking helmet are really cool to look at, and she just looks like she would be so much fun to paint. I like her staff, how it hangs up and leans forward over her model. Just a great model, and I think I would pay $30 for that model, so to me that makes this box really have that value we were talking about. Then you've got her 2 bodyguards, which could easily stand in for an Age of Sigmar Putrid Blight King. Both of them look savage and suitably Nurgly. This one's got that little drool hanging out the side of his mouth, which is, I think, the most interesting detail. He's got his guts hanging out in the front there of his abdomen, and I like his short hand axes, how he's grabbing them almost right by the head to look like more brutal, and that when he gets up in close combat, up and personal, it's going to really do some damage with them. I like the horns sticking out. You've got 2 on either side of his shoulder plates pointing forward, that one hanging up over his head. Really interesting lines in the second model. The third one stands out because he's got that faceless mask, which is always interesting, and it kind of reminds me of the Jason Voorhees character from Friday the 13th. Plus he's got that big ponytail top knot hanging up and giving him a little bit of height. The most disgusting part of this miniature is that little tail. That fly mouth looking thing that is just dripping whatever that is out the back. Oh man, that just is so gross to look at. I like how they painted some plates to look silver. Some of them are definitely that Nurgle green, and some you see on his right leg are meant to look more like that dark Nurgle green that they give as an alternative color for the Nurgle models. So interesting. I like how he's got a little tentacle coming out of his sleeve that's also grabbing onto the spear there wrapped around it. And you see that Fecula Flyblown also has a tentacle coming out of her arm that's gripping the staff as well. Very interesting models to look at. Very cool. So the question then is, what is the value of this box? Do you have something that you normally couldn't get or build out of other boxes? I always go back to the Orruk Warband, the first one, the Iron Jaws one. If you take a look at these models, except for that shirtless guy up at the top, the other 2 look like just any Orruk models you could build, and therefore I don't think they're worth the value. In this box set, though, you have 3 models that look very interesting, individual, and unique, because considering that Putrid Blight Kings, you can build them in a variety of ways, and that frame is just packed with detail anyways. These 2 bodyguard models would not be out of place in a Putrid Blight Kings unit. So when you think of the fact that not only could you use them as Putrid Blight Kings, you could use them as a Nurgle Lord, you can use them in a different capacity. You could use the Fecula Fly Lady as a Nurgle Lord. You could use her as a Nurgle Sorcerer. There are different places in your Age of Sigmar Nurgle army that you could place these characters. They would bulk out units, or they would make very good characters of their own. So I think it's a deal to get this box at $33. If you were to separate them out as Nurgle Lords or Nurgle Sorcerers and put them into a clamshell each, I could see Games Workshop selling them for $25-30 US each. The fact that you can get all of them for $33, plus have the ability to pay and rather play the Warhammer Underworlds game, makes it a thumbs up, worthy buy in my opinion. Hey, thanks for watching everybody. Let me know what you think. Do you have this box? Do you collect? Do you play Warhammer Underworlds? I'm interested to hear what other people in the community are doing with these boxes, and if the models are everything they're cracked up to be in these shots. Thanks for watching everyone. We'll see you in the next one. Laters!